So let me skip this stuff then ahead. Let's take a look. Where's the next question? There we go. Oh, that was a little bit far, I guess. Let me go. What is it? 6-4, 6-4. Wait, what? I'm a little bit confused right now.
To talk to Saurfang, servers melt, and while we want to give cohesive realm experience to our peers, what would you prefer? We definitely could offer a more balanced and more match-made experience and a more vibrant world if we were clumping all their RP realm
upgrade they wanted.
From
Solified, I know that we've kind of talked about this a lot, but it keeps coming up, so it's worth clarifying real quickly again. War mode on RP realms, are we phased with... Next question here from Recros, who asked, when deciding on the gearing system for PvP, why did you choose a fixed reward schedule when vendors provided players the ability to target and work towards the specific upgrade they wanted?
I think for some time now, even when we had vendors in the past, there often was a clear structure to them, whether it was total conquest points earned during the season requirements on the individual pieces or rating requirements on the individual pieces. There was generally a correct order in which to acquire your gear. Whether it was getting gloves with a bonus on them first or assembling your set, certainly you'd want to get your weapon as early as you could. And I think where possible, given the choice between presenting a direct reward in the UI where you can open the window and see, hey, if I do this activity, I'm going to get that helm or I'm going to get that axe. Given the choice between that and, hey, I'm going to get a currency where I have to know to go to a vendor and then I'm going to buy a thing off a vendor, we always prefer to give rewards directly. And so that's the structure we opted with here. I think the conquest schedule is there as a certain backbone to your progression, a guarantee that you will get all of these pieces if you participate. And then that's complemented by the random rewards from end of match or end of week once the season officially starts.
Yeah, and there were certainly some there were some big mistakes you could make with vendors as well, where especially if you were just getting into PvP, you were trying to figure out what was going on, you're spending your conquest, and you're like, okay, well, I've got my 1250, I'll buy my ring this week, not realizing that means you can't get your weapon the next week. So there actually are some very, very real advantages to the system. Yep. Obviously, for the extremely hardcore players who understood exactly what to buy in the right order, that's not really the case, but you're kind of just getting that anyway because you're just getting it in the right order. So.
And I think when the system begins, I want to say the reward at the end of the first, filling your conquest bar the first time, I think gives you a 340 weapon. And so that's part of it also gives us a chance to make sure that everybody has that essential piece of gear going into the system if that's one they want to participate in.
Cool. Next question here from J Funk Gaming, who asked, what are your plans on how to target specific high eye level Azerite pieces in the future? Obviously, a lot of people, especially if you haven't been following Azerite armor super closely throughout the beta, you're sort of comparing Azerite pieces to legendaries and worried that we're going to run into similar situations that we have with legendaries. We're just sort of hoping for that perfect piece. Azerite armor actually works very differently. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, they're fixed pieces with fixed sources, and so if there is a raid boss in Uldir that drops the piece you want, well, you have a chance every week and a second chance if you bonus roll, and maybe a third chance soon when it can drop for someone else and they can trade it to you if they already have it to get that piece. And so I think that said, there is a bit less control over the weekly Mythic Plus chest because that pulls from the entire pool of items. And I think that's something that we don't have a great solution to currently, but it's something we're discussing because we don't want people who are focused on the Mythic Plus gameplay to feel like they have no control over seeking out a certain trait. But it's a much more targetable, fixed, certain system than either legendaries or like the Netherlight Crucible, for example.
Okay. Speaking of dungeons, next question here from Item, spelled strangely, who says, some dungeons, especially the Motherlode, I always feel like I need to shout that, the Motherlode, feel like they have too many trash mobs. Are there plans to reduce the amount of trash in any dungeons?
Not currently. We've been looking at clear completion times for all of our dungeons, and they're pretty much completely in line with Legions. They're spot on for where we'd expect them to be early in the expansion. I think that said, there are definitely differences. Some dungeons will have more gauntlet type events or special things like going through Temple of Sethralus and dodging the lightning gauntlet or doing King's Rest and spending a fair chunk of time in a single room dealing with a series of waves of lieutenants.
I have to interrupt him in here, not because I don't agree with what he said. So, by the way, I didn't have any, I don't know, meaning or opinion about the PvP stuff. As I mentioned, I'm not interested in PvP at all. I just don't know who picks the questions, but that's a question that's just stupid to waste time on, in my opinion. Because you always had dungeons where you had plenty of trash, then a boss, and then a little bit more, a little bit less trash, and then another boss, or you had like boss and then like 2 or 3 packs only, and then another boss, but then like 8 or 6 packs or whatever that you needed to kill. So it has always been a balance. I don't think Motherload is an exception in here. Yes, it has a little bit more in the beginning, but basically between the 3rd boss and I think the 4th boss, there is like 2 or 3 packs you only need to kill so that you get to the next boss. And I don't know, maybe the guy that has asked a question doesn't know that you can actually skip a lot of things, or I have no idea. So I don't know, it's just, we have different dungeons. In some dungeons you do more trash, and in some dungeons you do less trash, but that doesn't, I don't know, that's just, I mean, do you want all the dungeons as the same? So like always like 3 packs, 1 boss, 4 packs, 1 boss, 5 packs, 1 boss. Is that like all the dungeons? Do they all have to be like this? I just don't see why this question would get picked in the first place. So, but yeah.
Tenant level enemies rather than going through a longer hallway. That's just consistent with WoW dungeon design since the beginning. You know, sometimes you have your Shattered Halls, sometimes you have your Violet Holds, and there's 2 opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to composition of those dungeons.
That's basically what I meant.
I think early on, certainly if you're comparing your experience running dungeons at the very minimum gear level, like you just hit 305, you're queuing up for your first heroics, everything is just going to take longer than what you're accustomed to in Legion, and that's can feel jarring if you're comparing it to, well, this isn't what I remember Halls of Valor feeling like a few months ago. There's a reason for that, but as people build up experience running the dungeons and understand which pulls are more dangerous, which pulls are less dangerous, and which you can take more aggressively, as people improve their gear levels, I think clearing through those enemies between bosses will just continue to speed up.
Okay. Moving along, question from Kagosi, who asked, how do you plan on keeping World Quests relevant once people have capped out on reputation and Mythic Plus / raids become the primary source of gear upgrades?
So, I think there's still going to be a great source of artifact power, and that's always a universal reward there. There will still be individual things that you see. You'll want war resources to run your missions, to get the rewards from that system. But it's actually totally okay that if you are a high-end raider or deep into Mythic Plus and you're getting gear from there, you have way less reason to do world quests. And I think that's actually part of why we've put world quest rewards, we put emissary rewards visible up front rather than hiding them away in boxes, so that you can decide, you know what, if the reward for today's emissary is a 340 pair of boots and I have 355 boots from a raid, I don't really feel like I need to do that emissary if I don't want the rep, and that's totally okay. I think it's fine to graduate out of types of content or to focus on one type of content and feel like you don't need to do the others based on your own personal playstyle. Now, if you're gearing up alts or you're doing other things, that's still going to be a great system. Similarly, if you're someone who focuses primarily on, maybe you do some raid finder here or there, but you're mostly a solo outdoor content player, then it's going to be relevant for a long time to come.
Okay. Next question. We don't have a ton of time left, so I'm just going to try and move through these as best we can. A question from Nithin Arena. Could we please have an update on new Worgen and Goblin models?
So yes, I think this remains at the same place it was when we talked about it last BlizzCon. This is something we definitely want to do. We are committed to do.
Another thing that I want to skip, I don't know, it's how many percent are Worgen, how many percent are Goblin, so it's only relevant to those. Basically, they're working on it. No schedule, no nothing that you will get, so yeah. that's basically his answer.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
We want to be able to actually show it to you. But yeah, it's coming, guys. It's coming. Question from Ciola, who says, Horde aren't getting Honorbound rep for the wanted quests in Kul Tiras, while Alliance get reps for completing wanted quests in Zandalar. Is this intended?
We think that this generally is. I also don't think that's an accurate statement. We're still looking into the details. Definitely saw this discussion pop up in the community in the last couple days. There are a bunch of wanted quests on both sides, on the opposite faction's continent. Some of them do give War Campaign rep, some don't.
So, before he is able to continue, I have to interrupt him already. If he, as a game director, doesn't know that there is a discrepancy between Horde and Alliance in such an quote-unquote important matter, I mean, you as a game director, you have meetings, and I'm quite sure that either you or one of the lead programming developers or whatever, whoever is responsible for this, has had in the meeting or has raised it in the meeting, hey, okay, we have those outposts that can be unlocked via the Facebook game. What are the rewards for doing so? And do they have quests? Are they going to be quest subs? So anyone in this kind of team participating and doing those quests should at least in one of the meetings there have said, guys, we have no quests, no reward except for the outpost. So what do we want? So and then someone said, hey, we can do wanted quests. That's quite fine. The second quest that you as a programmer have to ask, what are the rewards? What do we give the people for it? And having this falling through the Q&A that you have, let's say, I'm gonna go ahead and show you what I mean. So as an Alliance player, you go here. So that's what they're basically talking about. So they are having an outpost over here as the Alliance. Let's say there are 4 wanted quests in Zuldazar, 4 in Nazmir, and 4 in Vol'dun. This means that you have 12 wanted quests that you can do. That means that you have to decide for 12 quests what kind of reward you give them. And either the team that is doing the Zandalar part doesn't know about the stuff that is doing the Kul Tiras part. That's a big issue already that I would definitely address as Blizzard. But my question is more like, why do they not talk to each other? Why is there no? I mean, I am assuming that is one guy doing the quests. So one guy is doing the 12 quests here and 12 quests there, and then putting 5 of those wanted quests in for the Horde in Kul Tiras, giving a reputation, and on Zandalar he decides that 8 quests give reputation. In what world can this get through a Q&A team that is worth their money? I really have no idea. This is one of the biggest things that you need to make sure of. If you have an MMO that splits the player base into 2 big groups, make sure that everything is equal. Otherwise, you are going to have a shitstorm coming your way. I really don't see how this can be overlooked. No way. I mean, I don't really care about it. It's just, okay, then I have 200 less reputation than the Alliance players. Am I interacting with the Alliance players? No. Should it happen in the first place, though? I'd say no. But, yeah, as I said, in my opinion, a Q&A team that's worth their money should have definitely not been allowed to overlook those things. And they should definitely look into their structures if this somehow is able to happen in the first place. I have no answer to this that says yes, okay, this could have been overlooked, or yes, this mistake could have happened. No way.
It's not accurate that Alliance get rep from all the wanted quests. They don't. It's also not accurate that Horde get no rep from all the wanted quests. They do get from some of them. We're looking at the overall balance there to make sure that it's not too out of whack. If it ends up being significantly skewed, what we would probably do is add rep to those quests and maybe reset progress on them for those who have already done them so they can go back and earn that rep. But we're not 100% sure there's an actual problem here. We want to survey the entire pool of quest content on both sides to make sure there's some parity.
Okay. So basically we're looking into it.
Yep.
I think we already kind of answered that one. So
well, actually,
do you want to go ahead and
sure.
answer it? Okay. A question from Mamea, who said, any comments as to why emissary rewards are different between factions?
So, in other words, why did Horde in Europe get a weapon and Alliance didn't? I think this was the case a couple days ago. The answer is it's random. We're not sitting there handcrafting, okay, this is the emissary that's going to be up tomorrow, and it's going to give this reward to this faction because we like them more. It actually just boils down to we have pools of available quests and pools of available rewards, and a system that sort of pseudo-randomizes them to make sure that we're cycling through the emissaries without too many repeats or without too long a gap between the same emissary coming up twice. And because the Honorbound and 7th Legion are separate factions, separate emissaries, separate quests, there's separate logic that's used to pick them, and it will be equally likely, and I'm certain it will happen in the future, the Alliance have something amazing one day, and Horde have something comparably mediocre. But that's random.
Okay. I look forward to my mediocre reward.
That's what we do.
Again, I don't understand how he can make this system and be proud of it, basically. So, as I understand it, the champions of Azeroth are on both sides, Alliance and Horde. Tortolo and Seekers are on both sides, Alliance and Horde. And Talanji's Expeditions has something, I don't know, let's call it the first group on the Alliance side. The Honorbound has, like on the Alliance side, as you just said, the 7th Legion. But just to make it easy, let's call it the second group. The Vordunai obviously have another group on the Alliance side, let's call it the third group, and the Sandalari Empire on the Alliance side has, let's call it the fourth group. Why do you not, if you program this, that you are randomly choosing a faction for the emissary for today, randomly choosing a reward like it is right now, and just mirror it to the other side? You know that you're going to get a shit show if the opposite faction is being treated better than the other. And yes, I am making this point from a Horde character, Horde point of view, because I think that's a stupid system. So let's say the system is rolling the dice today, or like in 9.5 hours, once the new emissary chest is going to be opened. And let's say it rolls a number 4. So, as I already mentioned, Talanji is 1, Honorbound is 2, Voldunai is 3, and Zandalari Empire would be number 4. So, then roll the dice once more. Okay, we are going to give the reward of wrists there. And as far as I know, there's no difference between the Horde stats and stuff on items compared to the Alliance. So the only stuff that you need to make sure is properly adjusted is basically the looks. But why not, if it has rolled a number 4, why not give the Horde, the emissary of Zandalari Empire, you're going to get your wrists, and you're going to be happy with, I don't know, 250 reputation. The Alliance side, at the same time, it's still random, but it is random for both sides and both equally. So instead of the Zendalari Empire, they have rolled the 4 as well. As I said, it's only being rolled once for both sides at the same time. So the 4th Legion, or the 4th group, or whatever it called it will give you, surprise, surprise, a wrist, as well as 250 reputation for the 4th group. I don't know, I've made like 6 or 7 points now, I think, by now, that I would fire everyone who is on the Q&A team, because there are so big oversights in their ability to keep track of stuff that they are not worth their money. This is something that pops up the first time you put emissary quests on the onto the beta server, and then you need to make sure that everything is working, as well as that everything is equal between the Alliance and the Horde. It's the freaking internet you're dealing with here. You are going to have a shitstorm and in my opinion, with right. There is no reason why the Horde or the Alliance should get different, because you can make it an easy. I mean, I just gave you the idea how to make it equal for everyone and still random. If you want a randomness in this stuff, I don't care about what the randomness is on the Alliance side, as long as it is equal. But as soon as it goes unequal, you are going to have an issue with it. Let's go on.